Okay, I haven't finished with pronunciation, but I do want to show you other aspects of English and not just the pronunciation. I mean, the pronunciation is important, it's very important. I haven't finished. I have a whole set of what is called freaky English. I showed you some of those, but I have quite a set, and it's looking at how English can be very deceptive. That you have one letter thinking, oh, that's the pronunciation, but the pronunciation is different. Or you have a sound and you're thinking, oh, where's the letter that represents that sound? And it's not there. The letter isn't there, but the sound is. But the sound is. But I also think that it's important to show you other things about English. So I'm going to put a hold on pronunciation for a couple cards, and we're going to look at vocabulary. So I want to share my screen with you, share, and we're looking at common English words, words that are common, words that anyone who considers himself even the most basic English speaker should know. Some of these words are, they're hard to define because there are more words that maybe are more grammatical, but they have meaning. And sometimes I will put the meaning, and just sometimes I'll tell you the word. And frankly, you should look up the word because these are very important words. And a lot of them have more than one meaning. But one thing I want you to understand about these words, most of these words, there's 200 of them. I don't think I'm going to go over all 200. The video would be extraordinarily long. So therefore, I probably will divide this video into part 1 and part 2, and maybe 3 or 4. Some of these words, most of these words are Germanic in origin, not Latin-based words. That's why English is considered a Germanic language. It's considered a Germanic language because the core of the language is not Latin-based or Greek, ancient Greek. It is Germanic. English is Anglo-Saxons, Jutes, Frisians. Those are the major groups that make up what we eventually call the English language. The English language evolved over hundreds and hundreds of years. From the fall of the Roman Empire, which is 4-something, the 439, 4-something, until 1066. Yes, 1066. The English language was basically a Germanic language. It was not unlike what happened in France, what happened in Italy, what happened in Spain, and what happened in Portugal. The Latin part of the language, which was at best, which had been at best superficial, even during the Roman period of the Roman occupation of, at the time, had been called Great Britain or Britain, not Great Britain, Britain. At best, it was superficial. And then it was a Celtic country, such like the Scots, like the Irish, like the Welsh. When the Germanic groups came through, it became Germanic, because the Celtic groups in England, and what eventually became England, which means Angloland, were either killed or pushed out. So the words you're going to see here, you might see one or two, because some parts of the Latin part of English, a teeny weeny part, survived. And even before 1066, parts of English was Latin based because of the church. the church, and they're trying to convert the people at that time to Christianity. Okay, so let's look at some of these words. So this is called the common English words. I have it written twice, purely because I like the color in the font. I love colorful cards. I hate black and white cards. See? I like that font. Okay. Indefinite article. It's placed in front of a vowel. No, it's placed in front of a consonant. If it's placed in front of a vowel, it's an. But a lot of American English speakers, Native American, don't adhere to that rule. But it's an important rule, and it's a rule, especially if you're in school and you have to write an essay or whatever. The teacher takes in consideration when they're marking your essay. And. About. What is this all about? After. He came after. Again, not just one time, not just two times, but again and again and again. All. I have a set of cards, maybe about 100, maybe a little bit more, in which all is in the expression. It's a word that is used very frequently in English. Always. I will always love you. Forever. And this is the first person singular I for the verb to be I am. The contraction is and including John, Billy, Peter, and Sammy, to include any. Any has two basic meanings. Any could be, for example, I'll take any book that you have. So I'm not selective. I'm not choosy. I'll take any book that you have. You have a book, I'll take it. Any also is used in order not to have a double negative. I don't want, you can either say, I want no books, or I don't want any books. It is incorrect in English to say, I don't want no books, because you have don't or do not, and you have no. That's called a double negative. So you either have, I don't want any books, any being, in this case, no, or I want no books. Mostly you'll see, I don't want any books. Are is verb to be, present tense. Oh, the am is the simple present tense or present indicative. The am that I showed you. Let me go back to it to show you am. That is the verb to be, simple present tense or present indicative. Let me go back to are for the verb to be. Are is simple present tense, the verb to be, and it's used for you, we, they. Now, you in English can be singular as well as plural. I wanted to say it's used for the plural, but you can also be singular. You are my friend. Okay, I'm talking to you, one person. You are my friend. I'm talking to you, everyone. Around. Some of them I'm not going to explain because otherwise this is going to be forever. As, to compare, he is as tall as I am. Ask. I find this a very difficult word to pronounce because I pronounce it as if it's AX versus ask. So when I pronounce it, I think I exaggerated, but I don't know if I actually, even with the exaggeration, ask. A lot of people in English find this a very difficult word to pronounce because of the A, then that, and then the K. So I hope I am saying ask versus ax, axe, something that you use to chop down a tree. Act. He lives at home. I'm going to have to keep my promise and then just pronounce. But all these words are Germanic. None of these words, if you speak a Latin-based language, would you recognize? None of these words. 8, I have to say this. 8 is a homophone. 8, A-T-E, and then E-I-G-H-T don't look anything alike, but they're homophones. 8, and then the number 8. It's also the past tense of the verb to eat. Away, I'm going to keep my promise. Be, I must say this, be is the most important verb in the English language, the verb to be. I am, you, we, they are, he, she, it is. That's only the simple present, that is the present indicative of the verb to be. Because, been is the past participle of the verb to be. He has been here for 3 hours. Been, the present participle. It's used in the perfect tenses, present perfect, past perfect, present perfect, past perfect, future perfect, I will have been, conditional perfect, I would have been. Before, which is the opposite of after. Best, good, better, best. Well, it really is good, better, the best, because best is usually has the THE, the definite article. Almost had a brain freeze there. Better, good, better, best. Big, which is the opposite of small. Let me just start just doing the words, otherwise we'll never get through this. Black, a very beautiful color. Blue, a beautiful color. Both, bring, very important verb in English, to bring. The past tense is brung. He brung me my meals. And then the past participle, brung. I think people say this incorrectly, but I can't, I haven't heard the past tense of the verb to bring in a very long time. But it's irregular. We can say that it's irregular. And therefore, a lot of people probably say either the past participle or the simple past incorrectly. They do that with sing. They say it incorrectly. And they do that with a couple of verbs. Right? A couple of verbs in English. Brown, beautiful color, beautiful. Buy, to buy. A lot of people get this mixed up in its past tense with to bring, brought, brung, brought. I got it mixed up. Let me go back with the bring, because I'm letting you see that even in English, we can get our words mixed up. We can get it, especially if it's out of context. So I bring the breakfast, I brought, what is this brung? Oh my God. Oh my God. Talking about a brain freeze. You see, the English teacher who's been doing this for like ever, there is no brung. excuse me, right? Like I said, I haven't heard it in quite a while. You know why? Because there is no brung. So it's to bring the meal. He brought the meal, and that's a BROUGHT. And then he has brought the meal. Same word, BROUGHT. There is no brung. You know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of the verb to sing, and the past participle of the verb to sing is sung, and the past tense is sang. And somehow my mind went pew, pew. And when I make mistakes like this in class, I let my students know that sometimes some certain words, just like in their own language, you have to constantly be not studying, but remembering, because they can be very confusing. So it's bring, brought, brought. I said brung, please. No, nothing like that exists. I am so sorry. I was going to say one more thing. Oh yeah, you have to be careful, because the past tense and the past tense form and the past participle form, sometimes people get the brought mixed up with the bought. That's what snapped me out of my brung thing, whatever what was in my mind, because I want to go back to buy. Because buy is to buy something, buying is, but it's BUYING, because sometimes when you have the ING, you eliminate the Y, but not in this case. Okay, usually you don't eliminate the Y if the Y is followed directly. No, if the Y right before the Y is a vowel, you don't eliminate it. You only eliminate the Y if before the Y it is a consonant. But not always. Not always. Crying, you don't eliminate the Y. You don't say cring. It's crying, CRYING. Okay, so the present tense, present indicative, or the simple form is, is by. Then the past tense is bought, not brought, but bought. Talking about minimum pairs. When you, if you ever examine the cards on minimum pairs, words that almost sound alike. Well, these two words, bought and brought, are constantly being mixed up. And I'm talking about with native English speakers. So I buy a car. Yesterday, I bought a car. And the day before, I had bought the car. I had bought the car before going to work, for example. So you have buy, present form, present indicative form, bought, the past tense form, and bought, the past participle. I am not saying brought, the BR, I'm just saying B, or BO, bought, BOUGHT. Buy, this is not the BYE, like bye-bye, and it's not the BUY, which we just looked at. It's the preposition by. I go to work by car, by bus, by train. Call, important verb, and miracles of miracles, regular. I call my mother on the phone. I'll call you back. Came, the past tense of the verb to come. To come is the present present indicative and simple form and infinitive form. Came is the past tense form, and come, I've come to take you out. That's the past participle. Can, extremely important verb, totally irregular. The present tense form is I, you, we, they, he, she, it, can. There is no he, she, it, cans. Okay. Carry, it's important to carry something. Now there, if you're going to talk about the past tense form, you remove the Y and add an IED. Clean, regular, no problem. Cold, the opposite of hot. Come, we looked at that with came. Could, auxiliary verb for, as an auxiliary verb, is the past tense and it's the past participle of the verb can. Very important verb. Did, very, very important verb. It's the past tense of the verb to do. There it is, to do. Does, the he, she, it form of the verb to do. The verb to do can be both an auxiliary verb. I do speak English. I do not speak English. He does speak English. He does not speak English. Or it can be, I do my homework. There, it's a regular verb. It's not the auxiliary verb. He does his homework, or she does her homework. Don't, this is how you form the negative in present tense, I, you, no, yeah, I, you, we, they. And it's the contraction for do not. Done is the past participle of the verb to do. So it's do, did, done. I have done my homework. Down is the opposite of up. Draw, to make a picture. It is irregular. Draw, drew, drawn. Some of these, my goodness, I haven't, it's not that I haven't seen them, but I just haven't, made sentences with these for a very, very long time, because it's been a very long time since I've taught beginning English. I like teaching beginning English because I like teaching, giving someone the ground, the floor, the foundation, the base. So if they don't have a good English teacher for second year or for third year, or they don't want to continue studying the language formally, they'll have a good ground, they'll have a good basis from which to launch themselves into the language. Drink, you drink something, okay? Drank, now this is where I was saying that where people, American English speakers mixed up the simple past tense with the past participle form, simple form with the past participle form, simple past form, sorry. So it's drank, W-R-A-N-K, and drunk. You will hear a lot of Americans say, in fact, I even saw it in the Oxford Dictionary, they say this, in United States, they say drink, drunk, drunk. That's incorrect. It's, I drank the milk, I drank milk every day. Yesterday, I drank, D-R-A-N-K, milk. I have drunk milk for years, but you won't hear that. You will hear, I drank milk, I drank milk yesterday, and I have drunk milk for years. And sometimes I hear it so much It has now become normal to me. I think I'm going to cut it off after the last word. No, this is the last D. So here I'm going to cut it off, and then I'm going to have the book of 200 of the most common English words 2, because otherwise, I mean, nobody wants to listen to, an hour video on vocabulary, but to break it up, maybe. So this is Coralla Ficklin McLean at Welcome, WYLCONE at welcome.com. I appreciate you coming to my video. I appreciate you coming to my different platforms. Please subscribe so I can do this for a living instead of having to work and do this. I will just be working in this because I love language. And I let you know when I make a mistake, because I can always edit this out, but I don't. I want you to see when I make a mistake, because English speakers make a mistake with their own language, right? But it's the English speaker who makes the mistake. It's the speaker, not the English speaker, any speaker, or the person who makes a mistake, realizes his or her mistake, and goes back and corrects, right? And you should see that even a native speaker sometimes get mixed up with their own language and have to autocorrect, have to correct themselves, him or herself, I'm sorry. So thank you. You have a good day. And I will be back with part 2, starting with the E, part 2 of 200 of the most common words in the English language. Thank you very much.